Today's daily debates topic is cyber diplomacy the key to preventing global cyber conflict? We have Pranath and Dia with us today. Pranath, do you want to start with your opening statement?
Yeah, I would start on my cell count of three, two, one. Imagine waking up one day to find your country's power grid shut down, banks frozen, and emergency services offline, all because of cyber attack from an unknown adversary. This isn't science fiction; it's a reality, and the world is at war, not with bombs but with bytes. And yet, some still argue that cyber diplomacy isn't the answer. Good evening, I'm Pranath, and today I stand firmly in favor of this motion. Cyber diplomacy is the key to preventing global cyber conflict. And let's be honest, denying this is like refusing to wear a seatbelt in a high speed race, reckless and dangerous. Let's talk about facts. The United Nations group of governmental experts and the OECD emphasize that international cooperation is essential for cyber stability. Even the Tallinn Manual, a backed study, recognizes that existing war laws don't fully apply to cyber conflicts. Without diplomacy, what stops nations from waging silent cyber wars every day? In 2020, the UN open-ended working group on cybersecurity report that over 70 countries experienced state-sponsored cyber attacks. Yet my opponent would have still believed that isolated reactive measures are enough. I asked them, when ransomware cripples hospitals or cyber warfare disrupts elections, do we fight back blindly, or do we establish global norms to prevent these attacks in the first place? The US China cyber agreement in 2015 reduced cyber espionage incidents by 90% within a year. The Paris call for trust and security in cyberspace has over about 1,200 signatories, including countries and tech giants, proving that cyber diplomacy is already making a difference. To those who still denying this reality, do you propose chaos instead? Do you suggest every nation fends for itself, escalating cyber conflicts to uncontrollable levels? Because history proves that that is a losing battle. The choice is simple: collaborate or collapse. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranath, for your opening statement. Dia, do you want to start?
Yeah. I'm speaking for against the topic uh, is cyber diplomacy preventing uh, one sec, like there's a network problem. Can I restart?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hi all, my name is Dia Hasni and I'm speaking against the topic is cyber diplomacy the key to preventing global conflicts. I believe in this statement, yes, because of the cyber diplomacy holds promise, and there are several compelling arguments against it being the sole or the primary solution to preventing global cyber conflict. Uh, while cyber diplomacy plays a role in fostering international cooperation, it is not the key to preventing global cyber conflict. Cyber threats often come from non state actors such as hackers and criminal groups who are not influenced by diplomatic agreements. Moreover, cyber diplomacy is slow to adapt to rapid pace of technological change, making it ineffective against emerging threats. Difficulties in attributing attacks, coup- coupled with competing national interests and concerns over sovereignty, further hinder its efficiency. Without strong enforcement mechanisms and clear accountability, cyber diplomacy alone cannot prevent or resolve the complexities of global cyber conflict. Moreover, cyber diplomacy can be exploited. Countries could engage in cyber diplomacy in their own benefit, using it to gain advantage or mislead other countries. Diplomatic efforts could be manipulated as a cover for cyber operations that further a nation's geopolitical goals. For example, a country may agree to a cyber norm in diplomacy while simultaneously engaging in cyber attacks under different guise. This could lead to a false sense of security and could undermine trust between nations, and weak enforcement mechanisms such as even if the cyber norms or the agreements are established through diplomatic efforts, there is often a lack of strong enforcement mechanisms. Cyber diplomacy does not typically come with the same level of deterrence as traditional diplomacy, where economic sanctions or military responses can be used to enforce agreements. So, in my opinion, I feel cyber diplomacy is not the key to global conflicts. Thank you.
Okay. Pranath, do you want to start with the rebuttals?
Yeah. So I would start on my self count of 3, 2, 1. With all due respect to my opponent, their argument crumbles under the weight of reality. They claim cyber diplomacy is ineffective, yet history, law, and global agreements prove them wrong. Let's talk about facts. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 73/27 explains calling for advancing responsible state behavior in cyberspace. The Budapest Convention on Cybercrime is already facilitating international cooperation against cyber threats, and yet my opponent would rather dismiss diplomacy as if ignoring the issue will magically stop cyber warfare. In 2017, the WannaCry ransomware attack linked to state-sponsored actors infected about 230,000 computers across 150 countries, shutting down hospitals, banks, and even railway networks. What stopped it from escalating further? Not isolational tactics, but swift international cooperation. The 2015 UNGGE report even established that international law applies to cyberspace, making cyber diplomacy the foundation for cyber peace. My opponent seemed to suggest that the countries should fend for themselves, but let's see how that worked out. The 2020 SolarWinds attack compromised US federal agencies, showing that even the most powerful nations are vulnerable alone. Without diplomacy, these attacks spiral into full scale cyber wars, crippling economies, democracies, and national security. The fact remains cyber conflicts don't respect borders, and neither should our response. Denying cyber diplomacy is like rejecting global health agreements during a pandemic. It's irresponsible, dangerous, and invites disaster. So I ask my opponents, if not cyber diplomacy, then what? Isolation, retaliation, anarchy. Because history has already proven that those paths lead to ruin. The world has spoken, the UN has spoken, and the international law has spoken. Cyber diplomacy isn't just an option, it's the only way forward. Thank you.
Dia?
I would counter the point of Pranath by saying that uh, uh, one of the most significant cyber attacks in recent history, the SolarWinds breach, involved Russian hackers infiltrating the software provider SolarWinds to spy on multiple US government agencies and private companies. Despite international condemnation and the slow and complex process of diplomatic negotiations and responses, did little to prevent or directly resolve the damage caused by the attack. This attack highlighted the challenges of cyber diplomacy in addressing sophisticated, safe, state sponsored threats in real time. So, what would I ask my opponent is the cyber diplomacy has failed in this case in the case study, and there is one more case study which also says that initially disguised as ransomware, the NotPetya attack is widely believed to have been a state sponsored cyber attack by Russia aimed at Ukraine, but it spread globally, causing billions of dollars in damages. Countries like the US and UK condemned Russia for its involvement, but diplomatic efforts to deter further state sponsored cyber attacks proved ineffective. The NotPetya incident showed me the difficulty in using cyber diplomacy to prevent aggressive cyber warfare or cyber terrorism. Cyber diplomacy might not be the key because of the modern day current political issues and people's mindset. So, I would suggest that cyber diplomacy is not the key for global conflicts. Thank you.
Pranath, you want to ask?
Yeah. Yeah. So the UN group of governmental experts has made significant progress on norms for responsible state behavior in cyberspace, as evidenced by the 2015 report. What alternative mechanism do you suggest for developing and enforcing international cyber norms that could match the broad consensus achieved through this diplomatic process?
So, thank you for your statement. I would suggest that there are many countries in the world with different technologies, and everybody advancing their way for betterment and easy living. So, for to adjust all these norms and even the political situations in each country, one must equip social norms in such a way that it equips modern technology and norms which address to the advancing technology. As you said, it was 2015, but in 2025 we have more advanced technology which might not equip to the norms of the 2015 one. Like, you should up the there should be a more faster way of updating it each year, like to create more better process. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to ask Pranath a question?
No.
No? Pranath, do you have any more?
Just a sec. Okay. First, I would like to just give a statement. She mentioned that those progress should be updated every year. So the open-ended working group has achieved consensus on cyber norms in 2021. And for you, Dia, my question is: in the light of the fact that 2015 US-China cyber agreement led to a significant decrease in Chinese economic responses, as reported by FireEye and other cyber security firms, what non-diplomatic approach would you suggest to achieve similar reductions in state-sponsored cyber threats?
Can I take some time?
You can take a minute, no more than that.
Okay.
Ma'am, uh, would would that be possible if I just like change my question or no?
Dia, do you want that, or do you want to answer that question that he just asked?
If it changes, it's fine.
Okay, you can change.
Yep, thank you. Yeah. So Estonia's diplomacy strategy 2030 emphasizes the role of cyber diplomacy in strengthening cyber national cyber resilience. Given Estonia's success in preventing major damage from global cyber campaigns like NotPetya and WannaCry, how would you replicate this resilience without the international cooperation and norm setting facilitated by the cyber diplomacy?
You were actually fast. Can you just repeat it again, if you don't mind?
Sorry. Okay. Estonia's digital diplomacy strategy 2030 emphasizes the role of cyber diplomacy in strengthening national cyber resilience. Given Estonia's success in preventing major damage from global cyber campaigns like the NotPetya and WannaCry, how would you replicate this resilience without the international cooperation and norm setting facilitated by the cyber diplomacy?
So my answer to your question would be by yeah. So I would suggest the countries' cooperation, like they would be making detailed agreements and cooperating together would actually make a meaningful than the diplomatic way, because I would feel in the diplomatic way what we think, the norms and terms and conditions may not practically be enforced. So the flexible commitment between the countries in ensuring cyber diplomacy would be an option.
Okay, so just we're running out of time. I just got the message. Do you want to do the closing statement quickly?
I mean, you didn't mention for closing statement.
Oh, did I? I didn't. Okay, so that's fine. We'll not do the closing statement. We have like 5 minutes. Okay, so basically, I think Pranad won this debate because I think his answers were very well structured. His opening statements was very good, and the rebuttals and the questions asked were also good. Dia, your strengths were really, you made the point very clear in your opening statements, and the pauses that you took really helped to understand the point better. Also, the case study that you referred in your rebuttals was very effective. If you could ask more questions, that would be very good. And if in your opening statement, if you presented any statistics, that would really help you back your point. Pranath, um, you can take more pauses to explain your
Yeah.
points clearly, because sometimes it just like brushes over. It's too fast. But then you had some very good points in statistics, so that will be my feedback to you. Thank you for joining.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.